Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And we are once again back in EX2 of the Beatdown Battle. This is obviously part 2 of this video, or this series, I guess. So the first video we used the conventional teams that could, pretty much beat it. We used the meta as it is right now. We use the Overlord team, they can do it. Vengeance obviously can do it. And then we also use the old Summer Memories team led by the old trainee Protector. And now we're going to use some other one-off teams to do this. Maybe not as efficiently, but can still get it done. And we're going to lead with the Idols. So they do not nerf greens here, and as long as you can't die, you will win, right? The same rule from Vengeance applies here, even though in some ways better, in some ways worse, because here we literally won't take damage, but it'll take longer to kill because the Vengeance stacks do a lot more than what we're going to do with our single target Fire Shuna than anything else. But, we've got invincibility plus all the green orb changing, plus the stacking magic attack, plus the resetting from Rimuru. Mirai's got the live mode along with Shizuka. Shuna will obviously be our DPS, so we're going to be relying mostly on orb damage. And that's consistently getting the weakness strike and the attack buff, and then every time we get an ult for Shuna, we're just going to send it, because there's no point in holding on to it. We just want to kill them as quickly as possible. So, and then we've brought Isis to give us that extra green buff to get us more protection gauge, more ult gauge, more points in general. So this team should be able to do it. The stage is not terribly difficult. So, and this team can also do Inferno 3, so that should be pretty telling right there. Alright, so turn 1, we're just going to send these blues realistically. So let's bring Shuna in for Isis, because she has the most orbs. These 4 blues will get us the protection gauge, and then, pretty much from next turn onward, we're going to be good to go. Alright, cheeky counter, doesn't really matter. Shuna's already doing a decent clip with their health, and yeah, as long as we don't get like 6 oranges or something turn 2, we're pretty much off to the races now. So we'll take Tsubasa out of here for Isis. We'll use her green buff, and that'll get us nice and started on the whole cycling train of Protector Rimuru. Shizuka will come in. We will use Mirai's live mode first, and then we'll use Rimuru to convert, and then 6 greens with the Isis buff, plus the 40% charm that Rimuru already has on, and we're going to do a lot of damage here, even though we only have 1 Shuna orb. And we're going to get a lot of ult gauge. So, and we're invincible. I mean, what more can you ask for? Counter? Don't care. Do not care. Shuna, 15k. Alright, it's not bad. I mean, look how low her health bar is already compared to anything else. We've got a Shizuka ult. It's AoE. Cool. Super counter. Plus the synergy. Okay, well, we would have done more if we didn't have that synergy debuff, but it is what it is. More importantly, buff. I think we're actually going to seal this ult away, actually. And we're going to try and get the Shuna ult next turn as well. That way we can lower their magic resistance with Shizuka's ult first, and then send the ult with Shuna, and probably actually Mirai. We'll send all 3 ults next turn. Let's go ahead and send this on Milim now, actually. So now we've got extra, 12% attack on this turn. Shuna has the extra 20% weakness strike. We're invincible. We've gotten the stacks of magic attack from Rimuru. And yeah, 20k right there now. Okay, 3 blues. Again, it doesn't really matter because we're going to be able to convert those into 3 greens, or we don't have to. I mean, we don't technically have to. We're not going to take that much damage on this turn anyways, but it is nice to get. So we'll use the future hand of orbs just to guarantee the next turn is full greens, even though next turn is going to be their turn where they ult. Let's just go ahead and send this, actually, and save Rimuru. So we'll send Shizuka first. She will lower the magic resistance. We'll send Shuna on trainee, and then we'll follow up with Mirai on Milim, and then we'll send these orbs on trainee, just to ensure that she dies, which I think she will. Well, okay, that wasn't a lot. 19k. Shuna, 60k. Okay. 37k. Does Try actually die here? She's got guard on the 2% orb. Okay, she does. Alright, there we go. Triya is the one that gives the healing to everybody, so it's better for her to die first. And yeah, we didn't take that much damage. Here is where, you know, newer players would want to be invincible because we have the double ults, sometimes a triple. But we already have a full hand of green, so... Oh well. So let's just go ahead and become invincible, because without the guard... Well, Trainee is the only one that has guard, naturally, right? Everyone else is a little bit squishier than Triya, so they will die much faster. It's just that Triya is... Okay, yeah, she's... Wow, okay. We're melting health bars now on EX2 with the girls. So pretty good. And 42k right there. Yeah, we're really popping up on the damage. And that's another ult for Shizuka, which... this should be the last turn then, turn 6. So this is still within the 7-turn time limit that we have going for the missions. And we'll live mode again. And... we could probably actually take Mirai out, because for Tsubasa, every time we get hit with an ult, she gets that extra stack on her attack buff, and we've got AoE ulted twice, which means this is capped out. Oh, it's not. It's up to 60. Okay, well, oh well. Oh, right, because we only got ulted once. That's right. Okay, well, hey, 40% extra attack. It'll help this one orb of Shuna out, and we should kill, if not before that Shuna orb. So we'll do this, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the idols will win. 38k, oh yeah, we're dead before we get to Shuna. There we go. Idols can clear EX2. Who'da thunk? Being invincible on a stage that does not nerf green orbs. It's kind of good. Kind of good. Alright, but let's come back with maybe an older blue team now. Alright, next up is the Adventurer Konosuba Rimuru, and then the 2 physical Fire Shizus, Christmas Shizu and Summer Shizu. Trainee is here for the ult gauge and the orb changing, and then we've got Trainee and Rimuru also for the orb changing, plus their big time buffs, which this team is going to do a lot of damage. I think it's an unnecessary amount of damage. Plus, Rimuru is the only other protector that is giving extra damage against Earth units, just like the new Trainee is. And we have 2 fire physical characters here, so they're going to do pretty impressive damage, even without maybe getting all of the buffs active. But let's see what happens. Alright, turn 1, Albus is here to orb change into 6 blue. That's nice. We're getting extra protection gauge from Trainee's trait, so that's why we're even further along. And then we'll bring... yeah, both Shizus in. One for Albus and one for Rimuru. That way we leave Trainee with the extra protection gauge, even though we're going to cap out right here. And we'll see how much damage we do with these 2 units. 11k, 13k. Alright, yeah, that's looking pretty good. 27-2, and she's already down a third of her HP. Okay, we can work with that orb change right there. That's perfect, because we can use Trainee's special convert and then Rimuru's convert, and that'll get us another hand of full blue. There's the double stack, so boom. Rimuru will come in, and these are mostly Shizu orbs. Nice. Boom. And orb change there, and now after we use these 2 stacks of Rimuru, we get 20% extra ult damage every single time, plus the blues start generating more skill points, which means that this 6 hand of blues is going to give us a lot to use next turn. So let's go ahead and spread the damage out. Yeah, I think Summer Shizu has a higher attack stat, so we'll send her last. 12k, we'll have a crit. Yeah, okay. And she's down lower than half HP. Whew. And we've got another good orb change, because we've got points for now. And we're not taking that much damage, again, because it's EX2. We've got another stack, so now we're at 60% ult damage, and we can use the orb changes again. We'll have a Summer Shizu, or we'll have a... Actually, these are all Shizus. We might have 2 Shizu ults next turn. Awesome. So, orb change, boom. We'll get Trainee back in, and will we have enough? Ooh. We do have enough to use the weakness strike buff, because it does last for 2 turns here. And we are all, super weak point versus these guys. So, let's go ahead and lower Triya down, and then we'll send these on Ranga. And then next turn, we're going to have just a really, really powerful AoE Shizu ult here. And they'll be all fairly low, and I think the AoE will just end up wiping if we can get all of the buffs on turn 4. And this worked out fairly well. It's just that you kind of need Konosuba Rimuru, who came out last year, like middle of last year, so not a lot of people, and actually nobody's going to have them if they just started playing recently. Just straight up, none of you are going to have them. But if you do have them and you haven't played in a while and you're like, hey, these are all like, you know, fairly old units. Albus and Rimuru are exactly a year old. Summer Shizu is about 6-7 months. Trainee is super old. Christmas Shizu is very old. So I think this is viable. So let's bring Rimuru in for his big buff. Boom. Physical buff plus the physical resistance, and then Albus will come in for her Pierce and Pierce resistance down, and that means we have enough to use the AoE debuff and the Pierce power buff from Christmas Shizu, and I think they're dead. We're going to do way more damage than we need, and just in case, we have a follow-up single target for funsies. So Shizu 332. They have like 155k HP or something like that, so that's quite nice. Maybe this team can do Inferno 3. Maybe. They have like 700,000 HP, though. We might need also the fire buff from Shizu as well. So we could have done even more, because we didn't have the fire buff or the fire resistance down skill, and that would have pushed us even higher. So, but, hey, if you have Konosuba Rimuru, you have an accessible team, because these units are all the other ones are fairly old. Let's try something else. Alright, looking very similar to the previous team, but using a different protector that is a little bit more accessible, is Diablo. The first EX protector also came out this time last year. Albus and Rimuru still here, Trainee still here. Now we're going to nuke with Wind Shizu, being an AoE physical unit. She's able to stack attack on almost everybody on this team, including herself. Trainee will also be able to ult rush her and give her a small wind buff on top of the ult buff here, and then the 2 big time buffs. And now we have 4 blue orb changers: orange, orange, special, and green. So we are covered for most scenarios. And since these enemies aren't terribly tanky, this team should be able to do it just fine. Alright, so again, turn 1, Trainee will orb change those. Not Trainee, Albus will do those, and we'll leave Trainee up front, which I guess I don't want her in that slot, but oh well. We'll swap Shuna out, and we'll swap Albus out. That way we get the full double gauge of Diablo. Diablo is stacking ult resistance down on the enemies. Everybody, which is nice. But he only stacks at 30 points a time, which is inherently just not as good as the other protectors, but we're still doing decent damage here, even without type advantage. That's an unfortunate hand. We have 2 orange orb changers, and the game only gave us 1 orange. So, ooh, rough. Okay, well, I think we're just going to burn those oranges out of here then. Sorry, we're going to burn those greens out of here. So let's do the 2 stacks, and then this will just be a giveaway turn. So, and we'll try and still make it work. That way you don't need to keep fishing for a huge amount of RNG. I also have the charm on that gives attack to the person with the most attack, so that's why we keep getting ult gauge for Shizu. Let's go ahead and send these. Hopefully next turn is a little bit better on orb RNG, or counterattack, why not? Okay, we can work with that. Perfect. So we had a bad turn 2. Turn 3 we're going to make it back though, and we should be able to actually ult rush Shizu into an ult as well. So boom. Boom. And we've got 3 orbs for her. Perfect. We'll get some ult rush plus the wind attack that lasts for 2 turns. So cool. And we'll send this over here. Alright. Turn 4, we have all of our units up front again, so we'll get more protection gauge on turn 4 from Water Shion that's underneath Rimuru, and then the Albedo Shizu that's underneath Shizu. And that's a really good hand right there. Okay. So I think if we can, do the stack here plus another rush of the ult with Trainee, we can actually get Shizu's EX ult and get her out of here. So let's do that. Boom. Let's do this. Perfect. And now she can go away. And she can wait till next turn when we're ready to nuke, hopefully, with most of our skills active. So we're going to need to do this orb change, and we can use Shuna's, so we have enough to use a stack of the attack buff with Shizu as well. It only hit Rimuru and Shizu because it only hits Fount of Wisdom or World of Fantasy, but hey, we're nuking with Shizu. That's the important part. And then we'll take her out. That way we can maintain that wind buff, bring Shuna in, use her orb change, and then we'll send this full hand of blues on Millum, is what it looks like. Alright, and then we have 190 points to nuke next turn, so not enough to use everything, because Albus and Rimuru are going to take 160 of that. But we could use one more stack of Wind Shizu's ult. Oh, Rimuru got sealed. That's unfortunate. Okay, well, never mind. We're not going to have the Rimuru buff. We'll have the Albus buff, though. So Rimuru can actually just get out of here. He has a lot of orbs, too. So, boom. Trainee... I guess we can use her ult. So let's use the ult buff. Boom. And then we'll bring Albus in for Shuna. Use her Pierce debuff. And we have still enough for one more stack of the attack buff with Shizu. Plus we have 2 more stacks of Diablo. So that's an extra 60%, no, 30% ult resistance down. I think it's either 60 or 75% now total. Depending, because we had 2 and then 1 and then 2 again. Yeah, 75% plus the Pierce resistance down, plus the ult buff, plus the Pierce, plus the attack buff. And, you know, let's see what we can do here. Shizu... I don't see this Shizu ult very often. We're going to watch it. She always gets really good ults. Like, her ult for the Albedo Overlord was way above friggin' Albedo's actual ult. 208, okay. We needed 150 something ish, give or take, and we did 200, and we were still missing one of the big time buffs. I mean, that's not bad. That's definitely not bad at all. So, and it's a little bit more accessible. Shizu's also very old. Shuna's even older. Diablo is old, so we don't even need the Konosuba Rimuru, who is, you know, a collab character. So that definitely works. So I think we have one more team to try, and then we'll call it video. Alright, this is the final team that we're going to use. Space Ramiris. Unlikely choice here, but she does have the very interesting ability of giving 45% ult gauge for 3 turns passively, alongside giving us 40 skill points. And we're going to try and maximize that by using no EX characters, but 2 fire AoE units. Christmas Shizu again making an appearance, and also Christmas Velzard. Came out on the same banner for the same Christmas celebration, and Velzard is very much a damaging unit, because she has a personal attack and personal ult buff, and then Christmas Shizu gives that fire buff, and since she is skill fused, she has fire resistance down. Rimuru, free-to-play Rimuru, is here to convert turn 1, and then Traya is here to hopefully get us some green orbs, and then Octogram Lumi, a little bit of permanent ult buff. So we have ult buff, we have the fire buff, we have the temporary ult and the attack buff, plus the AoE down, actually, with Shizu, so that'll help. Ramiris is giving a space attack buff, so that doesn't really matter. But this team, I think, with no EX characters, will be able to do it. Okay, free-to-play Rimuru, gonna convert those, and then we're gonna swap both Traya and Rimuru out for the ladies in the back. They both have turn 2 protection trait units attached to them. Octogram Lumi is giving extra protection gauge on turn 1, 2, and 3, so we're looking pretty good. And let's go ahead and send Velzard last, and she does have a much higher attack stat than Shizu. And then we can start applying the... what's it called? The vitalization is how it's worded. Okay, that is a hand right there. I don't know if I can actually make that into a full... No, because it's all of them. Okay, well... Yeah, okay. Let's see, let's just try and rush a Velzard ult then. So let's go ahead and yoink those. We'll do a stack of the ult buff with Lumi, and that'll take away a lot of these orbs. We'll start the vitalization, so that's a free 40 points, plus now we've got the 45% alt gauge every turn. Shizu will not get an alt next turn, but Velzard most certainly will, just off of this plus that. Actually, she's going to get an alt just on the orbs itself, so that's pretty good. And then we have 48 points that we can hold over next turn, and we'll go ahead and send these on Milim now. We'll spread the damage out since we're going to AoE a lot here. So next turn we'll spread it on to Ranga. And that's another interesting hand right there. But here the vitalization's going to kick in and boom, alt gauge. Alt gauge for everybody. So Shizu will get an alt next turn. Velzard will probably get an alt next turn as well. So what do I want to do here? We could steal again. Man. What could we do? We could actually bring Traya in for Lumi. And then we could convert all of this. So steal and then convert. There we go. Not steal, but convert. Alright, and that leaves us 28 points. Let's put the AoE debuff, because that lasts for 2 turns on, and then we can cover both the alts next turn. So I think, yeah, that's what we're going to do here. And do I use this again? Like, we're going to make it back, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to get a lot of alt gauge, so let's go ahead and hold on to this, actually. So we'll send all these orbs on Ranga now, again, spreading the damage out. And then we'll have two alts next turn that will be, hopefully, fully buffed up with another stack of Lumi, possibly, the fire buff, and then Velzard's own personal buff. And then I think that should be able to wipe straight up. We have no alt for Velzard, or orb for Velzard, but because she's going to get an alt, it's going to make an orb for her. So, boom, there we go. And, I mean, that's a pretty good hand right there. We have 80 points in reserve here, so why don't we just do this? Yep, okay. And then let's get Lumi back in. And let's use the attack buff with Velzard, so it's 30% attack and 40% alt damage for herself. And then we'll use a double stack of Ramiris, 80 free points right there. And we already have the AoE debuff on, and that should be enough to use the fire buff. And, ooh, are we 1 point shy? Oh, we're 1 point off of using another stack of Lumi. That's kind of unfortunate. Oh well, we'll make do with it. So we'll just use the fire buff. I'm fairly certain these two alts are going to be able to kill, though. Shizu, pierce resistance down. Alright, that doesn't really matter. So, this is why we spread the damage, so that everybody is about equal, and we'll see if this is enough to kill. Shizu, 44k. Velzard, 82. Alright, there we go. That was a nice clean wipe. The orbs were a little bit funky, but we did manage to make it work, and this requires no EX characters. They're all very old. Ramiris is Valentine's Day of 2023. So, and she was the last meta before EX characters were a thing. And then Velzard and Shizu were, 2 months before that. And then Traya, technically you can't get her since the Gods of Destiny rerun already came back, but you could put a different orb changer in here. You could just focus only on blues, bring in like a blue orb changer, and that would work just fine. Yeah, okay, so there we go. 4 more teams that can clear EX2. Hopefully between this video and the last video, it gave you some ideas to be able to get that final dupe of GOBTA, to get him at least maxed out and get some of the rewards. Inferno is a much different beast because it goes from having, 155k HP, 158, and Inferno 1 jumps up to 545. So yeah, a lot of these teams are not going to be able to cut it in Inferno. But I will definitely do a video for Inferno 3. I'll have a few teams do that. The Idols will be there. They might have their own video. The Vengeance team certainly will have their own video because it's just fun. But stay tuned for those. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.